My name is Sherri Ferguson, and I am the director of the Environmental Medicine and Physiology Unit at Simon Fraser University, which houses Canada's only hypobaric chamber. My introduction to diving was actually in 1994, and I was on holiday in the Caribbean in a small island called Dominica. Before I knew it, I was on the boat reading a little pamphlet, How to Dive, as we headed out to a dive site. And I think I was still drinking my beer at the time too. I had a lot of problems. Could have been the red stripes and the nerves, I don't know, but I kept sucking the ocean up my nose and took several tries with this guy saying, "Tink mon, in through the mouth, out through the nose." And I'm like, I'm trying. I was quite stressed out, but I did it. And as soon as I did, he said, "Let's go, mon." And off we went swimming, and I just saw the most amazing things down there. It was like heaven. I couldn't believe so much life was down there. But simultaneously, while I was having my breath taken away from looking at beautiful things, I was also terrified that if my mask leaked and I was 30, 40 feet down, that this guy wouldn't turn around and I'd suck the ocean up through my nose and die or something. And so I was very nervous throughout the whole thing. I knew at that point that I had to get certified so I could continue diving, but be in control and not terrified. I did operate a dive store for some time before I sold it to my partner, and I got out of the dive store to go into a partnership building dry suits. At that time, I was also moving along with my instructor career, where I was now an instructor in technical diving and rebreathers. So it became a natural for me to represent technical dive companies. I enjoyed that right up until the point where I went on to do the diving safety. That opportunity came up where I could work with the university. And at the time, being a single parent, it afforded me to be home more often and not traveling as much. And also it just seemed like a natural progression to start learning about the science of diving. I am a certified occupational diver and have done a wide variety of work underwater, from working in the movie industry to doing water safety or stunts underwater. The training that I did with surface supply gear, and also diving in the Mark V, which is the old historic brass gear. I think I wore a grin for like the full 24 hours there. I was just so excited to get a chance to go dive in that kind of gear, and but also to show that there's no reason women can't pursue those careers. I do believe there are some limitations with our just actual strength, but I think there are many opportunities as well for women that want to work professionally. I became involved with the Canadian Association for Underwater Science when I took a job with the University of British Columbia as the diving safety officer, and later on served a term as president of that association. And then when the opportunity came to teach commercial diving, and that then later led to me teaching chamber operations and coming here to Simon Fraser and working with the Hyperbaric unit here, was great. But the accomplishments, I guess, if you want to call it that, keep happening, because now I've qualified as a graduate student here in biomedical physiology, and now my career is I would still say I'm a diver, but I'm shifting now as a scientist who studies diving. Qualifying to be a graduate student and to actually be a researcher was definitely a highlight, and I would say once I get that doctorate degree, that will be probably the pinnacle. I love the people I meet, whether it's the recreational divers or the commercial divers I work with. Everyone that I meet that's involved in diving is so unique, and just great people. That probably people are my number one thing, which is probably not your average answer. Probably most people like the Zen feeling or the creatures, and I love all of that too. But what's kept me in this business for 20 years is the people. There's so much fun in going to Hornby Island and getting in the water with the sea lions, who you're not so much invading their space, they're invading yours. They're there to play with you, and you get this pack of puppies around you that are just so curious and so playful, and it's hard to beat that experience of playing with sea lions underwater. If I had to pick my favorite place to dive, I would have to say Port Hardy, for the beauty and the diversity. I absolutely love what's up there. There's just such a proliferation of beautiful sea life. I would love to see two things happen to recreational diving. One, focusing on families being able to do it together. I realize that means older kids and their families, but more family vacations where it's an adventure for the whole family. I think that's pretty cool. I've been on vacations where I've seen families all diving together, and older teenage kids, but it's a really neat way to connect with your kids. Anytime you can connect through sport, that's great. But I'd also like to see that cool factor come back. The sea hunt days. It is a really cool sport, and it is very similar to being an astronaut and going into a harsh, inhospitable environment. And I think that coolness is being somehow downplayed a little, and it's become a little too cartoonish. I don't know how to say it, PG, instead of being something that it's a pretty rad sport.